Ever wondered why policies that sound good often lead to disaster? Let's explore economic fallacies, ideas that seem logical and plausible but are missing something crucial. They gain political support first, then lead to those famous, unintended consequences we hear about after policy failures. The phrase, "it seemed like a good idea at the time," often follows policy disasters. This is exactly why we need to look deeper into things that appear beneficial on the surface. Fallacies aren't crazy ideas, they're incomplete ones that gained enough support to become policies. Undefined words have special power in politics. Take fair, for example, used in everything from fair trade laws to Fair Labor Standards Act. Who's against fairness? But without definition, people with contradictory ideas can unite behind the same word. Social justice and equality work the same way, undefined terms that mean different things to different groups. This ambiguity is an intellectual handicap, but a huge political advantage, allowing mobilization behind words that paper over contradictory ideas. Economic fallacies affect everything from housing to international trade. When bad consequences take years to unfold, people often don't connect them back to their causes. Even when effects follow quickly, many still don't connect the dots. Policy advocates often attribute bad outcomes to something else entirely. Sometimes they even claim things would have been worse without their wonderful policies. There's always a way to avoid accountability if you're determined enough. Why do fallacies persist despite evidence? Elected officials can't easily admit their heavily promoted policies backfired without risking their careers. Movement leaders face similar risks. Even tenured academics stand to lose prestige when proven wrong. People who see themselves as champions of the less fortunate find it painful to face evidence they've actually made things worse. Evidence becomes dangerous, politically, financially, and psychologically, threatening both interests and self-image. Nobody likes admitting mistakes. But in many fields, the costs of being wrong are too high to ignore. Students must correct misunderstandings before exams. Businesses can't keep losing money indefinitely by persisting in market misconceptions. The difference between sound and fallacious economic policies affects millions of people's standard of living. That's what makes economics important and exposing fallacies more than just an intellectual exercise. Let's explore 5 widespread economic fallacies: the zero-sum fallacy, the fallacy of composition, the post hoc fallacy, the chess pieces fallacy, and the open-ended fallacy. Each distorts our understanding of how economies actually work. The zero-sum fallacy assumes one person's gain must be another's loss. But voluntary trade creates value for both parties. When I buy coffee, both the cafe and I end up better off than before. Economic exchanges often expand the total pie, rather than just dividing it. The fallacy of composition assumes what's true for one part must be true for the whole. If one farmer has a bumper crop, they prosper. But if all farmers do, prices collapse. What works for an individual might create opposite results when everyone does it. The post hoc fallacy assumes that if B follows A, then A cause B. Unemployment fell after raising taxes might ignore other factors or normal business cycles. Correlation isn't causation, especially in complex economic systems. The chess pieces fallacy treats economic actors like passive chess pieces that can be moved around by planners. Real people respond to incentives in ways planners often don't anticipate, undermining even well-intentioned policies. The open-ended fallacy involves policies with no defined goals or endpoints. Without clear success criteria, programs continue indefinitely regardless of results. Fighting poverty sounds good, but without metrics, how do we know if approaches actually work? Understanding these fallacies helps us evaluate policies beyond their appealing names or stated intentions. The history of economic policy is littered with good intentions leading to terrible outcomes because the underlying reasoning was flawed. Next time you hear a policy proposal, ask, what's missing? Are key terms defined? Does it account for human responses to changed incentives? Does it confuse correlation with causation? Only by spotting fallacies can we avoid repeating costly policy mistakes. The stakes are high. Economic fallacies aren't just academic concerns, they determine whether families thrive or struggle, whether opportunities expand or contract. Clear thinking about economics ultimately translates to real human flourishing.